Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Everybody seems to have a comment on Tua. Chris, watching in Vancouver on Game Plus TV, says with every concussion, the next one happens easier as the cerebral fluid surrounding the brain gets thinner with age and repeated hits. Tua should consider retirement. The head coach of the Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, got ripped apart again. He spoke this week saying, I didn't do anything wrong. I got the medical information that said he could play. He played, and I'm tired of talking about this. I have other things to think about. He's getting ripped for that. And I'm like, while McDaniel was loved from the day he was hired and they started 3-0, now he's starting to get ripped for playing the kid. Darren and I talk every day, and I often say that's all they're talking about here, for obvious reasons, is Tua and his injury and who's to blame. And I'm like, I don't think I've kind of given up on this. People are never going to understand that what sports has become, because it never used to be this way, but it is now, and it's kind of a microcosm of society. Nobody is going to take blame for anything, whether it's this or calling that play or if it was bad. If it's good, yeah, everybody's lying. Yeah, it was my idea. But if it's bad, no, wasn't me. No, wasn't me. I see it every day with just about every team. So to see Mike McDaniel stand up there and go, I didn't do anything wrong. They cleared him and play. Just doesn't. It never used to be that way.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Right now, Darren.
You know, Andre DuPont, the old Philadelphia Flyer tough guy, was nicknamed Moose.
And you being a tough guy.
Right. But in hockey, when I was younger, another player came across the middle and made the most devastating check I've ever made in my life. Take off the helmet, and it's a girl. And so the coach slapped it. Attaboy, Moose. Just like the Moose. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is, right?
The one sports show where roughing is encouraged.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to a Monday morning. The Rod Pedersen Show on the air. No Rod today. I think he's still in birthday mode after celebrating his birthday at the end of last week on Friday. And we get to sit in the big chair today. Darren DuPont with you today. Going to have a bevy of guests with you as we roll towards Christmas. It's finally here. It's Christmas week here on the Rod Pedersen Show as we count down to the holidays. The holiday season is upon us. Tons of amazing news to get to this morning and lots of great guests. Text in. The text line is still open at what is the text line now? It's 902-518-3033. That's 902-518-3033. There you go, down at the bottom of your screen. Thanks, Clark. The website's rodpedersen.com. Lots of great thoughts in there. We'll get to some of that from Rod's weekend column on Sunday. He had thoughts on the Calgary Flames, who won last night, by the way. So we'll get to that. Amazing World Cup final. If you woke up on Sunday morning to watch France and Argentina, we are going to spend just a little bit of time on the World Cup. We have to, because it was awesome. Wild weekend in the National Football League, including that wild finish between the Patriots and the Raiders. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to recap what went on in the National Hockey League, and we're on Ovi Watch again tonight. The Washington Capitals are home to the Detroit Red Wings tonight. I believe it's in Washington. Alan May, Washington Capitals broadcaster, will be with us in hour two as we sit and wait for goal 802. Maybe it's coming tonight. Gene Principe of Rogers Sportsnet will be along in hour two as well. Talk about the Oilers as they head towards the Christmas break. Jim Mullin, president of Football Canada, will be alongside later on in hour one. God willing, they're dealing with some internet blackouts, Jordan and Clark, over there on the coast on Bowen Island. So it'll be interesting. Hopefully we'll get Jim on. Lots of things to talk about with Jim Mullin, including the Cornish Trophy, which was awarded last week. So we'll talk about that. The Illinois running back that won the Cornish Trophy this year. We'll talk about Curtis and Nathan Rourke and the goings on there. big news in the Canadian Football League over the weekend as the Montreal Alouettes hired their head coach. It's Jason Moss, the former offensive coordinator of the Saskatchewan Roughriders that was recently let go. That's dominated the headlines through the weekend. It was a big storyline and topic on our social media feed, so we'll talk Jason Moss and get your thoughts in here as well. The YouTube chat is open. We'll get that up and running, and we'll say good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be watching from. Afternoon over there on the East Coast. Good morning still throughout Western Canada, so that's exciting. But joining us here off the top, Mike Richards is with us for the first, I believe, 2 segments of the show today. So, Mike, good afternoon, because I know you're over there in Ontario. How was the weekend, my friend?
Well, once again, another example of my greed when it comes to gambling. It's just not good enough to apparently pick a winner or even a point spread or even a total. No, I have to go deeper into it with the same game parlays and, take how much a guy weighs and then throw in a little college basketball on schools that no one's ever heard of and ruin my 10-game parlay. 10 games. And people go, shouldn't you cut back a little bit? And I'm like, I'll find your family if you say that again. Like I'm a thug when it comes to this stuff, but I never quite learn. But I get so excited. It's like gambling's like, remember Augustus Gloop when he goes into Willy Wonka and wants to drink the river of chocolate. That's me when it comes to gambling. I get all excited and I want to make all these picks, and then I'm just being sad and mad on a Monday, which is where I find myself.
You can split that parlay up into individual games. When you're betting on Sunday, and I was playing over at BetRegal.net, and I put my 4-game parlay together, and then I do some prop bets and all the rest. But are you going after, okay, these are some things I think I can win, and I want to win as many games as possible? Or are you putting a parlay together that's going to give you the biggest shot to take home the bag, right? Like you're looking for the biggest total.
Yeah, it's probably... I want to say the former, but I know it's the latter because I'm going, but if I just had this, look at that. I got a buddy, Doug Kirkwood, who didn't really understand how to do multiple games, right? And so I teach him, and he sends me these parlays that are like payout $3.2 million. I'm like, I get it. But, if you want to win, and again, it comes back down to understanding who you are. And generally, we're all squares. We want to be sharps. Yeah. We don't want to be the public, but we kind of are a little bit at the end of the day. But it is very easy at times, once you understand what the sharps are looking for, to recognize immediately what it is. And I'll go back for these in the last 2 weeks, there are 2 games that you recognize immediately before even really the number is out. You could look at the schedule and the way the season is going. There were 2 really kind of obvious ones to me. The week beforehand were the Vikings at Detroit. And I said, no matter what that line is for the Lions, I'm taking the Lions. And that's what the Sharps were going to be taking. And that's exactly what happened. And this past weekend, it basically was the same thing. Pittsburgh and Carolina. I'm like, they're taking Pittsburgh. They're taking, what's another example? Dallas and Jacksonville. So that's where I started this week. But of course, I don't want the +4, so there's something you can call any other result or a try bet, which means it falls in between 6 either way. If it hits 6, you lose. So guess what happens? It goes to overtime. Hey, it's a touchdown. That's the greatest game ever played. And you lose, greedy pig, because you actually tried to predict that it would fall in between the 5.5 + 5.5 - 5.5. It wasn't just good enough to win. I wanted to win really good. Fatty. I'm the Rita McNeil of betting. That's what I am. Just put the cake down.
Well, yeah, I know, and it gets you all the time. Just going to add one more game in here, and that's the one that gets you. I mean, oh, man. And can you imagine? I mean, if you had the money line on the Colts over the weekend or on Saturday, and they were up 33-0 at the half. I mean, they still covered the spread.
But then I'm saying, you if you were on the Colts, which probably the sharp money was, because no one trusts Kirk Cousins. No one. His wife doesn't trust him probably. But I'm saying the Colts was the play, and they come back in the most unlikely. Like I turned it off because the Vikings get on my nerves. I really can't watch them play. I can't watch it. I started watching, the whatever .com bowl that was on another channel, and they said, "Are you seeing this big comeback?" And I'm like, I don't even care. And of course, then now I care. I turn it back. Remarkable comeback, not a cover. Like only they could come back, make it the most exciting football game ever played, and not cover the 3.5. But again, that's why if you don't want to be on the Sharps, that's okay. Just take a pass. But it is very dangerous to go against the Sharps and think you know more than the Sharps. Ask yourself a question. Do you really make a living at it? Or are you just like the braggart that goes to the dinner party and you go, oh yeah, I was 4 out of 4. I made $250. We know who you are. If you're not buying a house off your winnings when you gamble or a car, you're not a Sharp.
Yeah, you're just not putting enough dollars into it. I mean, it's wild. Hey, I want to say good morning to those watching on YouTube this morning. Ryan's watching at WQEE, Wayne Grollo, Christine, Jenna Reagan, Don Mitchell, John Ohm, all watching here. Randy from the Peg. So good morning, everybody that's watching on the YouTube feed. Get your thoughts in there. Again, we'll get to the text line in a little bit. 902-518-3033. Hour one question into the text line. Let us know your worst beat from the weekend. Now, we're going to be doing this a little bit more. It's something that Bet Regal loves. We've had some meetings with their content team, and we're going to be introducing a new segment in the new year called Bad Beats. And, that's like being up on the money line on the Colts at halftime, dumping your whole life savings onto that just for the little bit of, you're going to get terrible odds when you're up 33-0, and then having Minnesota come back in the second half and you lose it all. That's a bad beat. So
it's a bad beat.
Send us yours. Were you betting? Were you playing at Bet Regal over the weekend? Let us know. There's a few things to get to. I want to get to the poll question, and I'm curious your thoughts on this too, Mike. Our poll questions for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center here today. We've been doing the bracket, trying to find the best reverse retro jersey in the NHL this season, the 2.0 version. So today, in round one, we've got Chicago and San Jose. So I think, Clark, you've got the graphic. They'll work to get it in here in just a second. But it's the Seals jersey, I believe, that teal jersey of the San Jose Sharks. There you go. The Sharks or the Blackhawks, two old jerseys. I think the Sharks will win this in a landslide because you just don't see anything like that anymore. They don't wear it very often. But when you look at the reverse retros, who are you taking of these two, Mike?
That's
I'm taking
tough.
the Sharks or the Seals. Yeah.
I think the Seals will win. Like I do, looking at that just because of the throwback color and the look of it, which is really good. But Chicago, when it comes to the marketing of some of their jerseys, I remember their first their outdoor jersey that they had, and that one was really sharp. But let's face it, the Blackhawk jersey itself is probably one of the most iconic jersey, and I'm saying all of sport. So if people say, you mean just hockey? I really think that it's just such a beautifully designed the graphic on it, the colors, and it's like a strength. It's just John Candy when he's wearing it on the beach. He looked good in it, and it was tough for him to look good in any jersey because it looked like there was more than one guy in it, and he still looked good in the Chicago jersey. So I think San Jose wins, but boy, the Chicago colors are beautiful.
Clark, do you got the full screens? The full brackets? Yeah, he's going to pull that up. So I want you to look at the full bracket. We're almost done round one. And I'd love to get your thoughts on, and just, which one do we think is going to win? There's a couple of real heavyweights here. And Rod's a big fan. I don't know which one we're going to see first. Okay, we're going to see the East first. So this is the East. He's a big fan of the Florida Panthers jersey. They're third. I don't know if you'll be able to see the top left because you're going to have your own window in there to see the Rangers and the Islanders is up in the top left. But that Buffalo Sabres jersey, pretty popular. But who do you like in the East?
Yeah, like I said, in the top, I can't see on that side. No, I do like even though I'm not a Leaf freak, but the Leaf one looks pretty sharp. But see, the retro thing is they always look good, which is why, when you start talking again about the original six, they're always so good. The original Buffalo one is good. I notice you don't have that Vancouver, the flying.
So Clark, pull up the West
or whatever.
While we talk about this. So this is the West. We just got to drop the bottom. It's at the bottom left-hand corner. So Johnny Canuck is the one that they're going with on the 2.0 this time. They've got Johnny Canuck on the jersey.
Boy, my
So if
eyes
you
are so
look at,
bad.
I know, and
is that the one at the very, very bottom?
Very bottom is
Yeah.
Johnny Canuck on the dark navy. It beat out Seattle, which, I mean, that's not a retro jersey. But if you look at the top right, the reverse of that purple Kings jersey with the crown, they've reversed it. So it's the crown on the white with the purple trim. And that might be the best jersey in the entire bracket.
That's a really good looking one. Because I'm trying to think of who we had on when we were talking about the colors, and he said, "Did you say purple?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Purple is not purple." He goes, "No, that's not what you say. It is LA Kings royal blue." I'm like, "It's not that's not blue." He goes, "Hey, what team did you play on?" Yeah, so I guess he knew. I'm trying to think of which former player it was, but yeah, it is. That's another. Yeah, it's a good strong jersey. Strong.
So wait, in LA, do they call that royal blue?
But in LA, there's a reference to it being like the team's allowed to call it. Well, somehow not what it really is. It's like
Right.
it's like the Wolverines. If you talk to someone who's who played for the Wolverines, you can't say blue. You can't say yellow. Don't say yellow. You have to say maize. Maize. This is the word they
Maize
went
and
with.
blue.
Yes, maize and blue. Okay.
You have to.
Big corn fan? All right. Like, I mean, I just don't know why that would be but that's what they call it. And as you know, when it comes to a team, don't mess with how they call their colors.
Yeah, I agree. John Ohm says the King's crown shines, loves that. Craig Smith watching, likes the King's retro as well. They're all confused about Vegas's. It does say Vegas across the body. It doesn't say Vega. The S in whatever image they put out is kind of like folded underneath a little bit. So it is on there. It does say Vegas. And Randy from the Peg, along with a couple others, really like Buffaloes. So that'll be fun. We'll have round 2. We'll start in the new year. We got a couple of more brackets to get through, a couple more jerseys to go up in round 1. Round 2 will start in the new year. You can go to rodpeterson.com to vote. Yeah.
Did you say John Holmes like that? John Holmes?
John Ohm. OHM.
I'm going to say, boy, you got a lot of fans I didn't see coming to this show. I don't see the whole show, so maybe I'm missing something, but I just, I thought I was very impressed.
We didn't even get to the quick 6 show topics. We got you for one more segment, right?
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah. I'm not
okay,
going
Mike's in here for one more segment. So we've got lots to get to. We're going to take a break. We're going to hit the show horn when we come back, Jordan. We're going to get into all our topics. We're going to get into more from you guys in the YouTube chat. And we're also going to talk about that World Cup final that happened on Sunday morning. I woke up for that one, and I'm really glad that I did. So we'll talk about that coming back and get into your topics, recap the weekend in the NHL, look ahead to tonight, and more. It's the Rod Pedersen Show. Darren DuPont in for RP here today. You're watching on YouTube Live, on Game Plus TV, or you're listening online, WQEE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Casino dancing.
Now And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might injure your back in a way that causes nerve damage or partial loss of mobility. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Good morning, good afternoon. RP Show continues here on a Monday morning. Rod still on the birthday weekend, the extended long weekend. He'll be back tomorrow at the Boca Raton Bowl going live, so you're going to want to pay attention to that. He will be, I believe, in the hotel as Liberty getting set, Ken Austin and Liberty University getting set to play in the Boca Raton Bowl. Rod will be back in the show tomorrow. The text line is open, 902-518-3033. Website's rodpeterson.com, where you can vote on today's poll question. It is the next up in round one of our bracket to determine the best NHL reverse retro jersey. Today, it's San Jose and Chicago in the reverse retro bracket challenge. Again, vote now, rodpeterson.com, here on YouTube, where you can vote as well on Twitter. The YouTube chat, again, is open. Mike Richards is here, so let's bring him back in, guys, in for this segment. And Jordan, why don't you hit the quick six show horn, because we can actually get into these topics now.
How about that?
The first one, before we get into the NHL weekend leftovers, I do want to talk about the World Cup final, Mike. I woke up on Sunday morning, and I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest soccer guy, don't watch a lot, but I get into this stuff, and I'm really into it. And on Saturday night, what was I doing Saturday night? I was babysitting Saturday night for one of my friends. They had a Christmas party, him and his wife. So I was hanging out with the kids. And
what are you,
they
the
didn't
world's
get home
nicest
till,
man? Who does that? Who does that? You
I know.
babysit for people? I'm not doing that.
It was 1 a.m. before they got home, and they had a great time. So I didn't get to bed till 2:30. Came home, wound down, watched a little TV. So I didn't wake up in time for the start of this game. So I woke up. I'm like, oh, the game's on. I missed the start. Okay, so it's almost getting close to the end of the first half, and that's 9 a.m. our time when it started. It was 2-0 Argentina when I flipped it on. I'm like, oh, the game's over. So I watched, and here France comes storming back. This thing goes in to extra time, and lo and behold, Argentina scores, and it's Messi, his second goal of the game. What an iconic performance. And you got the other kid on the other side, the 23-year-old for France, the phenom.
Mbappe.
This was just unbelievable entertainment. And then he gets the penalty in extra time to tie it. I mean, that was some really great drama on Sunday.
It was the definition of why we watch sports. A lot of times when we grade why we watch it, soccer in this country historically does really badly, does poorly. It doesn't seemingly have what we find exciting because it doesn't seem like it's engaging. Something that's 1-0 or 0-0 is eye gouging time for most of us when you're sort of uninitiated to the sport. You really have to have a love for really what goes on in that sport. But at times it didn't translate. But I think as we've become a more sophisticated football country, we're still on the young end of it. But because of the emergence and the talent of what we have now, the women have had it before the men. Quite honestly, the women's national team was really the best domestic team we've had in the last couple of decades. But now that the men have arrived and at the highest level, we have an understanding of what makes the sport work, what makes it the beautiful game, and that insane final was by definition one of the great sporting moments that I have ever seen, because you just really never knew what was going to happen, and it was just crazy. And I'll tell you, the goaltender for Argentina, Martinez, made some saves there towards the end that could have had France actually winning this thing before it even gets to penalty kicks. So my hat's off to what was just a magnificent final, a magnificent game. And for me, Messi, now again, this is only coming from a guy who's watched soccer since 2001, so I can't go back into the 70s and 80s and even for the most part in the 90s and tell you about these great players because I don't know who they were. I admittedly don't know. But from 2001 till now, I'm really hard-pressed to say that Messi isn't the finest and most impactful soccer player that I've seen. Yes, that does include Ronaldo. I know people want to talk about it, but and look, I'm not going to deny that there's not a greatness, but this was okay. Start making the comparisons. If you think Gretzky was that in our sport, if you think Michael Jordan was that in the NBA, go through them all. He is that. He single-handedly changes the entire fortunes of a team on the biggest stage at the biggest time ever. And I would say probably the 4 billion people that watched it probably would agree with me.
And how do you define the moment for somebody like Messi? You've got this young kid in Mbappe who's, breathing down your neck as the next one. He's going to be the next one. I think he's got 11 goals, the World Cup already. Like, it's almost a given. If he plays in 2 more World Cups, he's going to be number 1 in World Cup scoring, which is phenomenal.
Sometimes,
and maybe,
sometimes you wait for that torch to be passed. Well, it's already been passed. I mean, he already. We talk about gambling, and someone said, "So what are you going to take?" I said, "Well, I'm going to take and even though it was a miraculous tie, but I would take the draw. I would take both Messi and Mbappe to score, and I would take it to go to extra penalty shots. Now, I wouldn't have chosen who would win in that case. I wouldn't have, but that's like a $20 ticket for that's like $1,000. But it wasn't that necessarily hard when you think about it. A lot of people would have been in on that kind of thinking who watch footy, but as I said, it was much maligned because of who got the tournament, when it was being held, all the political feelings about what happens in Qatar was very, very difficult to see it actually put on. But you can't deny that the end result for FIFA was the best thing that could have ever happened to them. Even if you kind of think they don't deserve it, they got there, but that was on the players doing that. That had nothing to do with FIFA, nothing.
Oh, absolutely. And to be able to have Messi finally win a World Cup and do it that way and score the way he did. And I thought actually the moment was going to be a little bit better when he scored the goal in extra time. And you thought that was going to be the winner. And then he had to come out again in penalties and score again. I mean, the moment being able to do that. And we were on social, can't remember who it was. I think it was Danny Austin in Calgary, trying to find a comparison where you have a greatest of all time in their sport, finally climbing that mountain in the way that they did in maybe their last international event. That's pretty special. I mean, in terms of greatest of all time, it doesn't really come to mind. I mean, the greatest moment of a great player climbing the mountain right at the end for me is probably Ray Bourque when he lifted the cup with Colorado. But I'm trying to think of, greatness that's happened at this stage.
Yeah, and I get that. But to me, the difference between that and a Bourque or even some of these moments we can think of, it's just the size of the stage isn't even comparable. I mean, we're talking about, did 6 million, 7 million, 10 million people watch the game? 4 billion people watch that game. 4 billion with a B. including John Holmes.
Yeah.
They all watched it. They all watched the game.
Did they ever? Unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff. That will go to and what's great for the game is scoring is up. I think it was the most goals scored at a World Cup. So scoring is on the rise, which I think is good for the sport. How many times results throughout the whole tournament were in doubt? 2-goal leads being erased. 1-goal leads routinely being erased. So I think that's really good for the sport when a goal in the opening minutes doesn't dictate the outcome of the game. And that's really, really good for the game.
I think what you're going to see is, there's a couple things that Canada will take away from this. Number one is the importance of having a midfield that is world class. I mean, the game against Croatia was sort of, and again, even for those that are new to the sport or just sort of interested in it, you saw all of a sudden it started to look really lopsided. Like it started to look men against boys. Well, that's because on the other side, Modric and friends, they're just so strong that the midfield in that game, you need it. And then finally understanding, and people didn't before they went in this tournament, they thought, oh, we'll beat Morocco. I said, is that right? Yeah, you think that's going to happen? Scoring goals and having guys, and the word they would use is finish. You have to have a finisher. So not only the guys, and we've got guys who can streak down the field, and we've got guys with some talent, real talent, and length too. You need a little bit of that at times unless you're messy. But the reality is the ability to be able to put like 2 goals in, like a minimum of 2 goals in, that's kind of the game break. That's kind of the line in the sand when you're hoping and praying. I know, because I have an Irish background. So I cheer for Ireland like it's life and death my whole life. And I know that it's life and death for them to score. They're challenged when it comes to putting goals in the net. And because of that, that's why it's very difficult for teams like Ireland, even though there'll be an expanded World Cup coming up next. So maybe some teams sneak in there. But for Canada, it's going to be midfield and making sure that scoring a goal isn't this huge, there's this chasm of a possibility if we score first. No, you've got to be able to have a guy up the front who is absolutely lethal. You have to have, again, to steal a word that they say all the time in football, and that's, of course, the English guy saying a talisman. So Harry Kane's the talisman, looking for Messi, a talisman, that one. Well, do we have at that point when 2026 comes by, who's the talisman? Because we have to have one. We can't think we got one. Yeah. You have to have one.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, but a lot of momentum coming out of the World Cup towards 2026, a ton of momentum. Look, I want to get to this. We got about four or 5 minutes left with you in this segment. NHL weekend leftovers. The Flames win, Jets lose. Flames snap that 5-game losing streak. 5-2 win over San Jose. Elias Lindholm, 2 goals, his 10th and the 11th. Markstrom stopped 24 of 26. Both Sharks goals came on the power play. Right now, Flames tied currently for the final wild card spot in the West, 34 points. They're 1 back of Edmonton. Colorado, who they're tied with, does have 3 games in hand, but a welcome relief for Flames fans to get that win. But again, as we head towards Christmas, what's wrong with Calgary right now, as Rod mentioned on the weekend, he puts the onus on the players. Brad Treliving had made his moves in the offseason to make this team better, to try and fix some of the holes that were there that didn't allow them to get past Edmonton in the playoff. Is this team, as we head towards Christmas, a team that can turn it around and move not only into a playoff spot, but up the standings and become a team that can do some damage in the playoffs? Or is this team going in the wrong direction?
I definitely don't think they're going in the wrong direction. I mean, that would be like an overreaction. I mean, you've played, 32 games. I certainly wouldn't be thinking in those terms. This is a league, I just talked about the chasm of difference. The NHL is the opposite. The difference sometimes between a first-place team and a fifth-place team, even though it's evident, it is pretty small. So the night that you don't go out and, quote-unquote, from a hockey player, the moment you don't go out and give her, you're probably going to lose. I mean, that's how tight this league is. There's a lot of parity. So when I look at the Calgarys and the Edmontons, I mean, eventually, again, they're good in all the right spots, but are those right spots all performing at the highest of levels? No, they're not. I mean, Edmonton and Calgary shouldn't be, in the middle of the Pacific. I mean, we'll wait and see about the Kraken who've got off to like a freak start, and the Kings who have been pretty good. Vegas just Vegas is ultimately the strangest franchise I've seen in any sport. It's just they make up their own rules. They decide to be a team. You know what we should do? We should go all the way to the finals in our first year. You know what? That is a good idea. This is what they do. And then they play well and they're like, what are we going to do now? You know what? Let's fire the coach. But he's doing a good job. No. We need a change. Let's get another guy in there. Like they just do stuff and it works. Like teams must see this. Now the Kraken is, I don't know if they hang on, but there are teams that, look, that are doing what I think they're going to. Okay, look at Tampa. Like, do I really care about Tampa before April or May? No, because they're just going to hit that switch and they're going to be brutal to get out. Like, if they go to the final, am I surprised? Yeah, Boston's playing well. Everyone, in Toronto's quietly kind of waiting a little bit, even though they're having a pretty good season. I'll still put my money on Tampa getting through. Carolina, the Hurricanes. It's just they're like Brindamore. They're little tanks out there. You can't get rid of them. What are they 9-0 in their last 10 or whatever it is. They're going to be there. The Rangers will be a tough out. We'll see about New Jersey. Again, I put them in that category of a great start, but that's a switch that they've never had. So at the end of the day, I look at the Calgary Flames. They got the right coach. Now, of course, you're talking to someone who has an enormous bias when it comes to Daryl Sutter. I think of the world, the guy spent a lot of time with him, and I also think that he has what it takes. And sometimes we talk in football and other sports about being behind the bench, being on the sidelines. What is that like? Well, you have Daryl freaking Sutter. At some point, not only does he know what he's done it before, and they've seen trophies lifted over their head because of what he knows. So at some point, as long as the players perform, and I agreed with Rod on this one, if you do what you're paid to do, and Daryl makes it simple, it gives you like 2 tasks, sometimes it's 1. That's all he's going to ask of you. Not 3, just the 2 things or the 1 thing he needs you to do. You do that, you win hockey games. And by the end of the day, they'll be as competitive as anybody else. But trust me, this is not a league where I look at it and go, okay, there's a 1 seed, there's a 2 seed. I wouldn't even, I'm okay. As greedy as I am, I'm not doing that with the NHL, which is why, quite frankly, folks, never bet on it. And I'm not lying. I don't bet on hockey ever. Never. I'll bet on hurling in Ireland before I bet on the NHL. Yeah.
I know. It's so tough to bet the National Hockey League. Braden Wozniak, one of our interns, said, the fact is Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau were bona fide stars, and now the Flames lack game changers. Well, I think they got the game changers. I just think they need to get more out of them. It's been a slow start for Jonathan Huberdeau. Been a slow start for guys they brought in, Nazem Kadri. These guys can, is it time to find their spot in the system and what works?
In the first, and I usually say about 30 games into the season, you find your footing. I'm not saying the whole thing's preseason, but it's just like NFL football. See, the preseason doesn't do anything for you because nobody plays. There's no connection, and the bullets really aren't flying for real. Once you start getting into like 30 games, now you sort of more or less have figured out your identity, what works and what doesn't. And for some teams that seem to be cruising along and being very consistent, to me, it's all about almost like this lineage of the guys that you have on this team. So is this team as a group, and they love saying group now, team is out,
yes,
group is in. And I look at this assembly of guys, which is really only a couple of years when you think about it. And for some guys like Huberdeau, like Kadri, they're new to the band. Like it's kind of like, because they haven't really figured it out. And so right now you sit there and hope Markstrom's, it's a hard way to live. You just want Markstrom to like make every save, which is unrealistic. But to me, do I look at a team that's trying to figure it out in December and still have good feelings about it? Yeah. If I'm looking at a team that's trying to figure it out in like February, I'm in trouble. And that won't happen with this team. It won't happen with Edmonton. There's a lot of teams. I think the Florida Panthers will be there at the end of the day. Boston's playing well. I really just don't see that there's panic. I don't think the personnel's wrong. I think that they're. I'll tell you what. I think they're a harder team to beat at the time where it matters the most. We just talked about the World Cup, being on the biggest stage and playing your best at the biggest time. We'll see about that. And you know what? That's why I think both Edmonton and Calgary. That's right, Edmonton. I'm saying something nice about you. And you know what? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Edmonton.
Bingo!
What a great way to end this. I can't believe it. At the holiday spirit, the ice is melted between you and Edmonton, maybe heading into the break. Mike, we're out of time. I can't believe how fast it goes. One thing I know when I do this show is that it goes so fast, and you got to keep moving. But we'll do it again soon. Merry Christmas, my man.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, you pal. Looking forward to what will be a surprising and an exciting new year.
Really looking forward to it. We'll chat in the coming days. Mike Richards joining us here on the video chat. Jim Mullin is in next. Hey, get your questions in. He wears a few hats, so we're going to get into the Jason Moss hiring in Montreal. So get into that Cornish trophy and more as we continue on here on the RP Show. Football next here on YouTube Live, Game Plus TV, and on the radio, 99.1 WQEE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might fracture your wrist, resulting in a lifetime of painful arthritis. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM certified pre-owned trucks and make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
All right, good afternoon and welcome back to the RP Show. Good morning if you might be in Western Canada or on the West Coast. As our next guest is, I believe we're going to go to Bowen Island and visit with Jim Mullin, the president of Football Canada. Is that where you are, back home? That's the home studio, right?
Yeah, I am back home, and man, for somebody on the West Coast, is it ever cold here right now. It is -8 with a wind chill of about -15. We don't build housing out here. for this
Whoa.
kind of weather.
Oh,
It's
no.
just whistling through the house right now. And I'm going to warn you, we've had a number of power outages throughout the morning. So if I all of a sudden disappear on you, Darren, it's Mother Nature and BC Hydro kicking in for us.
I appreciate the heads up on that, Jim. And if it does, we'll be okay. We'll get you back in. The power comes back on. But that's got to be close to a record cold for the island.
Oh, we've had worse. I remember years ago when I was working with the Victoria Cougars of the Western Hockey League. That is years ago. That really dates me.
That's taking it back.
Yeah, I stayed in this hotel in Victoria. It was the same place we had our office, and there was this wonderful water fountain that came in from the outdoors underneath glass into the indoors, and it was minus 21 with a chill of 30, and it froze like a block and froze the entire foyer in the place. Like, you could not escape the cold during that cold snap. We are, like I said, we're not built for it here. We're just not.
No.
Like, you can laugh at us in the rest of Canada when our cars go sliding down hills and whatnot. We're just not built for it. I have palm trees out in the yard. You've seen them.
I've absolutely seen them, but I get it. You know, why would people put block heaters in their cars if you don't see minus 25 and minus 30 ever? So I get it. So we're thinking about you. We hope we get through this tough cold weather. I think it was minus 25 when I woke up here this morning. The cars did start.
Yeah, we'll survive. We'll rebuild. Don't worry about it. We'll be okay.
It's been exciting for you guys over at Football Canada, and also with you personally and the show Crown Gridiron Nation on TSN. The Cornish Trophy got announced. The winner of the Cornish Trophy, Illinois running back Chase Brown, winning the Cornish Trophy. Tell us about that. The nominees. It's pretty exciting. I thought if you would have asked me, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, I would have thought Curtis Rourke would have had this all buttoned up neatly to follow in Nathan's footsteps to win the Cornish Trophy. But that's not the case. Chase had a pretty good season himself.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I was still sick for another week, you would have been the guy announcing it on Crown Gridiron Nation. Thanks for sitting in and hosting for that 1 week when I was missing a voice and missing any energy with the Rona. Now, over to the Cornish Trophy, though. Chase Brown, he was the leading rusher in the NCAA until the very last week of the season and ended up being the leading rusher in Power 5 football overall. The thing that really knocked me out about Chase Brown was 328 carries in a season. I don't think he even expected that. We have an interview with him. It's available online on our YouTube page for Crown Gridiron Nation. And he points to an early injury in terms of the depth that they had at Illinois. And at about that point, a couple of games into the season, he knew that he was going to get 28 carries in a game, 30 carries in a game, 32 carries in a game. And we know that, over 13 games, something like that adds up. Brown had a 1,000-yard season the year before, and he was the runner-up for the Cornish Trophy the year before behind John Mechie, who had an outstanding season at Alabama. So he was definitely on the radar for the trustees of the trophy and the voters of the trophy. Some people have suggested his brother, Sidney Brown, his twin brother, at safety, may be the better athlete and the better pro prospect of the two. He had 6 interceptions this year, was really good in run support with his tackle numbers. He's a super senior. He's had 5 years to hone his skills. He'll find his way to an NFL team as well. The choice for Chase right now is stay with Illinois for another year and wear down that tread with those number of touches, or declare for the NFL draft. And, we asked him about what his process was for deciding what he'd do next. And, when he starts talking about the NFL, that's the one time when the smile opens up on his face and he starts talking about his dreams and aspirations. So I think he's a very deserving winner of the Cornish Award, a different type of winner than the other running back that won this thing back in 2019, which is Chuba Hubbard. Chuba was a track star. Chuba was a guy that broke in the space and ripped off long yardage and big time TDs. Chase would do it to you like 1,000 paper cuts at a time. He's kind of a ground and pound guy, a guy that in the NFL is probably a first and second down guy rather than a third down guy like Chuba is. So over on the Rourke side, though, I think Curtis was a surprise to a lot of people in terms of him coming off, just under a 2,000-yard season and posting, 3,400 yards, 3,500 yards passing in the MAC, named the MAC Player of the Year on the offensive side. And I think nearly any other year, with the exception of the year that Chuba won, Curtis Rourke would have won this thing. You're selected the Player of the Year in your conference in Division I football. That gives you some serious consideration. And I think if you stack his year up against what his brother did, he probably had a better year than Nathan did in both the years that Nathan won the Cornish Award in the first 2 years of this award. So I think the decision for Curtis coming off that knee injury where he lost the last game and a half, which I think weighed on the mind of voters, I think the decision for him coming up is, does he use the transfer window to go to a Power 5 team, or does he become that legacy guy like his brother was at Ohio, playing all of his games at one university? He hasn't exercised that transfer window yet, and so maybe he's staying put in Ohio for his senior year.
Yeah, something to be said about staying there and continuing to pile up numbers and continuing, coming off the injury. It'll be fun to watch Curtis Rourke and see where he goes. So the Cornish Trophy goes to Chase Brown of Illinois, awarded every year to the top Canadian playing in NCAA football. And I love watching the progression of where this award has gone and where it continues to go. So that's really exciting. The other thing, before I let you go, is I wanted to get into the Jason Moss hiring as the big CFL news over the weekend. It came down this weekend, dominated our social media in terms of commentary from fans. And with our show and the Western Canadian audience that we have, or the large Western Canadian audience, and obviously the large audience in the rectangle, there's a lot of fans and a lot of comments that come in that are confused as to why Jason Moss would be the top candidate for the head coaching job in Montreal. But the football people aren't surprised. He gets hired. It's Danny Machocha. They've got a long history of working together in Edmonton, whether it was Danny as an executive or a coach when Jason was playing. Of course, he coached there, I believe it was 2016 to 2019, had a 39-33 record as a head coach. So maybe this isn't as surprising as you would think. But what was your initial reaction when you found out that Jason Moss was going to get the job in Montreal?
Well, I think I had that impulsive reaction about, hey, the CFL is recycling coaches again. But if you dig into Jason Moss and his background, I don't think anyone can question this guy's work ethic. And I think, Darren, you point to a very important thing, which is a trusted shorthand between the general manager and the new head coach. I think that's very important. Jason Moss's journey has been an interesting one. Back when he was a position coach with the Toronto Argonauts, this is a guy that had to make some tough decisions. When you're a position coach, you're not getting paid a whole lot in this league. Let's face it. And this is even before the operations cap a few years ago. Moss had a decision to make whether or not he was going to rent an apartment in Toronto, which was very expensive at the time and remains expensive to this day, or send money back to his family in Oregon. He was just developing as a coach, coming off of his playing career at the time. He was looking towards getting some coaching experience, seeing where that would take him, was actually looking at the opportunity of maybe leading a 5A high school in his home state of Oregon, which is certainly more sustainable and reliable than being on the professional coaching carousel. So he made a decision that he would stay in the trailers in Toronto and work out of the trailers and sleep in the trailers, kind of like a dorm room so his family could make ends meet. And that level of dedication doesn't go unnoticed by people throughout the Canadian Football League. And you can say what you want about his time in Edmonton, but he did win games there. And we know that depending on the situation and depending on the staff that you can assemble, especially with this operations cap, things are going to be cyclical. So I'll be very interested to see what sort of staff Jason Moss can assemble in Montreal, because his success will be determined by who those key people are in his staff as much as what he can drive.
Will be fun to watch and be very interesting to see how he does alongside Trevor Harris and the weapons he'll have in Montreal. Jim, appreciate this. All the best out there on the island during the cold streak, and happy holidays, my friend.
Thank you very much, Darren, and I appreciate joining the co-host of Crown Gridiron Nation.
I'm going to add that to the bio here. It's, again, honored that you would ask me. Jim Mullin, the president of Football Canada, joining us here. Running through towards the top of the hour, we'll get to your comments next. It's the RP Show, Game Plus TV, YouTube Live, and 99.1 WQEE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might fracture your wrist, resulting in a lifetime of painful arthritis. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of time. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might hit your head and cause a lifelong injury. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Laid back and kicking it, let's head back to the studio. Here's Rod.
All right, putting a wrapper on hour one here on the RP show. And big thanks to Mike Richards for joining us and Jim Mullin. We're going to slow things down a little bit. Let's just breathe as we head towards hour two. Gene Principe from Sportsnet and Edmonton coming your way in hour two, along with Alan May, Washington Capitals broadcaster. Alexander Ovechkin looking to score 802 here tonight at home to Detroit. So we'll slow things down into hour two. The text line is loaded up at 902-518-3033. So get your text messages in. We'll get to those. We're going to get to the YouTube chat, and I want your thoughts on the Jason Moss hiring. We're going to talk about that right after this break. It's the RP Show, Game Plus TV, YouTube Live, and WQEE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902 518 3033. 902 518 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM-certified pre-owned trucks. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big, and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might fracture your wrist, resulting in a lifetime of painful arthritis. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Right now, Aaron.
Andre DuPont, the old Philadelphia Flyer tough guy, was nicknamed Moose.
And you being a tough guy.
Right. But in hockey, when I was younger, another player came across the middle and made the most devastating check I've ever made in my life. Take off the helmet, and it's a girl. And so the coach slapped it. Attaboy, Moose. Just like the Moose. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is, right?
The one sports show where roughing is encouraged.
I still love the cardboard cutout of the Darren DuPont show. That was Josh and the folks at IKS Media. They do great creative work in their animation stuff. I love that. I know our podcast listeners can't see it, so if you are listening on the podcast, you got to go back to YouTube and you got to check this out because they did great work. Hello, happy holidays as we welcome you into hour 2 of the RP show here on a Monday morning, or if you're listening on the podcast, we say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Christmas week is finally here. Got my holiday espresso. So we're going to just slow down here into hour 2 and roll into some of our topics. Just you and me for the first 15 minutes here. And then coming up later on in the podcast hour and in the program, you're going to hear from Gene Principe from Sportsnet in Edmonton. We're going to talk about the Edmonton Oilers, who sit in one of the 2 wild card spots as we head into the final week here towards Christmas. What do the Oilers need? What's working? What's not working? Where do they go from here? And we've got breaking news out of both Edmonton and Toronto, so we'll get to that in this segment as well. Alan May will be along with us as well as we really settle in to hockey here in this hour. We're going to be on Alexander Ovechkin watch again tonight as he looks to pass Gordie Howe with goal 802, the next one up for Ovi. So Alan May, Washington Capitals broadcaster, will be by a little bit later on here in the hour. But we're going to start with football. And the text line is open at 902-518-3033. The YouTube chat is open. I've got that here. I want to get into the Jason Moss hiring, just you and me, and we can chat about this. I know the comments have been filling up here on this, and I wanted to get to some of your comments as well. Craig Smith, our director of scouting, and happy holidays, Smitty. Good to see you feeling better and hope things are going well. Craig says that he was with Moss in Hamilton, respected him so much, smart, unparalleled work ethic. That from Smitty. BW writes in and says, Danny Machocha, I believe, said back in Edmonton that Moss would be in his coaching staff in the future. John Ohm says, I'm a Jason Moss fan. It's too bad he had to take the fall in Regina. I think they call that a scapegoat. Not impressed with the current regime. That's a little bit of a different story. Elam Wilson writes in and says, I think the Moss hiring makes sense. As a coach, he's got a good resume. Montreal played some good football last year. It could be a fit. We'll see. Ryan McCarthy in New York says, wondering if Trevor Harris will re-sign with the Al saying that Jason Moss is the head coach. And Glenn Erickson said, I've always heard rumblings that Moss tends to create complicated schemes. And I think that might be true, too. You look at who the other candidates were for the head coaching job in Montreal. Defensive coordinator Noel Thorpe, quarterbacks coach Anthony Calvillo, special teams coordinator Byron Archambault, and running backs coach Andre Bolduc. All on the staff. They were all part of the head coaching search. But outside of that, Danny Machocha didn't really go outside the box and interview a bunch of external candidates. And we never heard of interview requests being made. It seemed like all along Danny Machocha knew who he wanted. It was either going to be to promote somebody from within or it was going to be Jason Moss. You look at Moss's history, obviously as a player. I mean, he's just 47 years old. He's not an old coach. He's not that far removed from playing in the Canadian Football League. I mean, for those who are uninitiated, which you all are initiated, but the offensive coordinator in Sask for the last 2 years and was the head coach in Edmonton from 2016 to 2019, had a 39-33 record with, at that time, it was the Eskimos. So Jason Moss and Rider fans want to know if this is going to make the Riders look bad if he goes on and has success. And the short answer to that is no, it will not. Just because he wasn't a fit in Saskatchewan as the offensive coordinator doesn't mean he's not a great fit in Montreal as a head coach. You have to think about scheme and personnel, and timing means everything. At least, as a head coach, he can dictate game plans. Now, is Jason Maas a good head coach? A 39-33 record isn't a dominant record, but it's still a winning record. He did take that Edmonton team, I believe, to 2 division finals with Edmonton in his time there. So there is a history of success. And as it's been pointed out in our comments, this Montreal team is right on the brink. They're right there. They could have been a team that made a run late season towards a potential Grey Cup. Now, it happened to be Toronto, but they were close. Yes, it will hinge a little bit on who plays quarterback, and I think it's important that Jason Maas is named the head coach now, leading into free agency, so he can have those conversations, so that pending free agents know who they're going to have as their head coach before they make those decisions. Trevor Harris, if he's going to re-sign and come back and be the quarterback for the Alouettes, is he the quarterback that Jason Maas wants? One thing I know from watching is that Jason Maas and Cody Fajardo were clearly not on the same page. Maas was not a coach that fit Cody Fajardo as a quarterback. Cody Fajardo didn't have the skill set to complement what Jason Maas was trying to do offensively. So I don't think that fit works. Does it mean that Cody's a bad quarterback or Jason Maas is a bad coach? No. It just means they didn't fit. And sometimes you need to, when there's no fit, sometimes you just have to end the relationship and move on. And both sides can go and have success in other places. And I think Cody will have success in this league. I think Jason Maas will have a lot of success in Montreal as their head coach. Jumping back in to the YouTube chat here, we want to jump in. Craig goes on to mention that Maas threw for 5,000 yards in 1 year. Yes, very successful as a quarterback. Jeffrey Townend, Jeff the Stamps fan, says, well, if Maas succeeds in Montreal, I'm sure Rider fans will not be as understanding. No, they won't be. But just because he's going to go and have success in Montreal does not mean that he was going to have that success here in Saskatchewan. That was just not going to happen. Time to move on. But hope that Jason Maas has a lot of success in Montreal. Wishing him the best. And you guys are too in our chat. Text line 902-518-3033. Let's jump in here. Bruno Kempen wants to jump in and say, hi, Moose. Happy holidays to your crew and families. And yes, happy holidays to you as well and everybody who is watching as we are in the final week in the countdown to Christmas. Larry Dye writes in and says, never leave a Vikings game at halftime. Good advice. And I know our Viking fan friends, Arash Madani, among them, the Silver Fox, Kelly Rempel, Peter Labardius, they're all Minnesota Vikings fans. And happy for them that the Vikings were able to erase a 33-0 halftime deficit on Saturday to the Indianapolis Colts. Larry Dye goes on to say, John Elway comes to mind, making it big late in his career. A Super Bowl is a huge stage. Yes, Elway winning, I believe that was the late 90s with the Denver Broncos. That was pretty great. He's obviously in response to Lionel Messi winning the World Cup and capping off an incredible career, which Messi says he's not done, by the way. So that's awesome. David writes in and said he's in Winnipeg and watching on Game Plus. Wow, what a sports weekend. World Cup final, epic. NFL madness in Vegas. The smoke probably still pouring out of Belichick's ears. Yes, I can imagine that it is. And then says, hey, Moose, is Bo Levi or Cody Fajardo a possible fit in Montreal? Which is the better fit? Well, as of today, it's not Cody Fajardo because Cody Fajardo and Jason Maas are not a fit together. That's clear, and it's not going to happen. So if it's one or the other, I'm taking Bo Levi in Montreal. But somehow I think that Trevor Harris might be the quarterback to thrive in Jason Maas's system. Although I think Bo Levi could thrive as well. A veteran, the big arm, can do a lot of things well, who's been around the game and might understand some of the things that Jason Maas wants to do. So that will be interesting. Jeff goes on to say, the Stamp fan on YouTube, Moss was a Stamp killer when he played for the Double E. So, and wants to know if everything's okay with Rod. Everything's great with Rod. Rod is on an extended long weekend celebrating his birthday in the Florida Keys. So I think everything is A-okay with RP. More to the texts. And actually, before we do that, we want to get to some breaking news today. I don't have a breaking news bell. So, Jordan, if you have the Quick Six show horn, why don't we hit that if we have it? I think we'll have it. There it is. Awesome. Threw a little curveball at you guys. So, again, appreciate that. Clark first alerted me to this morning before we went to air. But Stuart Skinner signing an extension in Edmonton. I believe the deal is 3 years at $2.6 million per year for Stuart Skinner in Edmonton. So we'll talk to Gene Principe about that. What does that mean for the Oilers moving forward? What does it mean for Jack Campbell? It's not a big ticket, so we'll follow that one. Also, breaking news out of Toronto and Colorado. The Toronto Maple Leafs have acquired forward Dryden Hunt from the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for forward Dennis Mulligan. So Dryden Hunt, former Moose Jaw Warrior, Western Canadian fans that watch our program will be very familiar with Dryden Hunt. He's bounced around a couple franchises in the National Hockey League, and most notably now a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So a depth trade there should help the farm club out, maybe give Dryden a chance to get some time with the big club. So there you go. And we've got some hellos and welcomes in the text line from Sean Dufour and Brody Ledoux as well. Happy birthday, guys. A couple of birthdays in the RP squad as well on the text line. Want to get to that poll here before we wrap up the opening segment and refresh the poll question. It's for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center. You can vote now at rodpeterson.com, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can vote there as well. We're bringing up the reverse retros in the final stages of round one, and the San Jose Sharks, Chicago Blackhawks, the Sharks with the playoff, the old California Seals, and I think it's not going to be close. But Clark, do we have an update on YouTube where we're at? See if we can get some early results here. 51%. That's as close as it gets. 50-50 on YouTube. Let me pull up the online results, if I can, here at rodpeterson.com. And it's on Twitter. So you've got a few different places to vote. I'm on rp.com, and I'm going to vote for San Jose. 80% San Jose on Twitter, but 60% Chicago at rodpeterson.com.
Spicy!
So this one, we're going to have to tabulate all the votes because it is tight. San Jose and Chicago here on the poll of round number one. Is it Gene next or is it Alan next? All right. Alan May coming up next, and then we'll continue on through the program. So we'll take a break. Alan May, Washington Capitals broadcaster. Alexander Ovechkin looking for 8:02 tonight as the Capitals welcome in Detroit. We'll get to that and a whole lot more here on The Rod Peterson Show. Watching live on Game Plus TV and YouTube, listening on the podcast or on the radio at 99.1 WQEE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might injure your back in a way that causes nerve damage or partial loss of mobility. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Casino dancing.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might hit your head and cause a lifelong injury. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Rod's still on the birthday weekend. It's a long birthday weekend, but he'll be back on the show tomorrow, and he'll be broadcasting live from bowl season, NCAA, Boca Raton Bowl. So that's going to be fun. He's got a couple former CFL players part of that group, and, of course, Liberty is in the game, and Ken Austin, former Riders coach, Riders quarterback, Hamilton Tiger Cats head coach. He's going to be part of that game. So looking for a lot of fun tomorrow. But we're talking hockey because the Ovi watch continues. And we go to Washington now, bring in Alan May, Washington Capitals broadcaster, and say, happy holidays, Alan. It's good to see you.
Happy holidays to you. It's great to see you.
Yeah, awesome to see you. As the Washington Capitals getting set to host the Detroit Red Wings tonight. Are we all on Ovi watch again tonight? It's been a couple without, but as he sits at 8:01, I think we're all kind of sitting here wondering not if, but when he's going to get 8:02 and then 8:03.
Well, 8:01 is going to happen tonight. I would bet your last dollar on that one. And Detroit's reeling right now. They've got injuries. They've lost quite a few games in a row. They got hammered at home the other night, 6-3 on Saturday night. And I think Ovi's ready to get it done. I think it'd be kind of poetic to do it against the Detroit Red Wings. Marty Howe will be in the building with Mark Howe, his brother. So it's going to be a big night. And if 8:02 happens, that'll be great. But I bet when the season started that it would be in the Winnipeg game this upcoming Friday. So I didn't think he'd get on the little hot streak that he's been on. So it's no matter what happens, it's going to be incredible. And I was fortunate enough to be in Chicago last week. I did the radio call. I did my normal pregame and postgame stuff, but I did the call with John Walton, our incredible radio voice, and it was surreal to do it in an Original Six building. Their fans were amazing. The moment was amazing. All of the moments were amazing. the plane ride back to DC after the game was absolutely incredible. It was so much fun.
Very cool. Very cool. What was your initial reaction when 800 went in?
Well, you knew it was coming because he scored 24 seconds into the game, and you could just feel it building up. And Chicago, from way up top, the 300 feet above ice level, looked really bad when they don't have the puck. There's a lot of nice skating hockey players on that team, but it was a train wreck without the puck. So you knew it was coming. And when it finally went in, I looked at John Walton, and he'd been dying. The radio guys, they die for these moments, and I just took it all in. I just turned in the press box, looked at him, and just to watch him go and the excitement of the building, and then the Chicago fans, and all of a sudden, everyone's throwing their hats. The visitors, we had a lot of Capitals fans the other night, but the Chicago fans were amazing. The way his teammates emptied the bench, it was really special. It was pretty cool. I'm a pretty lucky guy when it comes to my hockey moments in my life. Growing up in Edmonton, watching Gretzky, and I saw so many milestones with Wayne. And then to cover this guy the last 14, 15 years has been incredible. And I love that people have written him off so many times, and he continues to, just come out of the It's kind of like Hulkamania. The hand just keeps coming up. And, it's incredible to watch him go and live on these moments. And the greatest thing now, Darren, is that he is so congratulatory to his teammates and appreciative of them. And, it's always them now and you guys. And it's not like I wanted to do it. It takes a while to learn that as a younger player in the league. But I'm telling you, the last half of his career, he has been so great to his teammates and gracious. And one moment I'll share with you on the plane the other night, the team planes are incredible now. And he came back and had a clink with everybody and spoke to everybody, the coaches, and thanked them, the training staff, the TV and radio guys that we all travel together. And he was still, I think, in awe. He was still in shock of what had just transpired earlier that evening. And I did a post-game interview after he had done the big scrum. He came in over, did a one-on-one with me, and his voice was trembling, his hands were shaking, and I think he really lived in the moment and felt, the presence of Gordie Howe and everything that's happening right now. To be the only third player in the National Hockey League in the history of it to get 800 goals, and I didn't think it ever happened because when he came in the league, it was a bad brand of hockey being played before that when they changed all the rules, and I didn't think guys were going to be able to get 50 and 60 goals anymore.
Yeah. At what point did you think it was possible, not just 800, but chasing down Wayne? Because it's not only possible now. Yeah.
Yeah. Last season, he was 36. He puts up 50 goals, and he carried the team with Evgeny Kuznetsov all last season. They had so many injuries, so many bizarre happenings with COVID and all the things, and he still found a way. And at 37 years old right now today, every team's game plan is how do we shut down Ovechkin? And people think he only scores from that one spot, but they're not coming from there because all the penalty killers are getting over there now. They're taking the pass away, but he's starting to go to the net and score the junk. But he's figuring out ways and he's adapting. But last year, once he started rolling, it's going to happen. He's going to get there with Wayne, and it's going to be incredible. But right now, I think we're just all cherishing these moments with Gordie Howe. And what's going to happen next few days. I wish it was a little bit of a spread because 800 is a really big deal. And I'm so happy that I'll be part of that call for a long time. But 801 for our guy, Joe Beninati and Craig Laughlin, our two in TV, the number 1 and 2 guy in our broadcast, they'll be in this forever. I heard them on an ESPN montage last Saturday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, we were in Winnipeg, and ESPN had the game between the Avs and the Blues. And they were talking to all the new young goal scorers about what's their favorite Ovechkin goal. And, a lot of them go back to the one where he is rolling around on the ice in Arizona. And I've got a lot more that I like way more than that one. But it was pretty cool. And our guys were on that the entire time, all over it. And it was so cool to listen to them. And they were actually sitting with me because I pulled the game up in the press box before we got started in Winnipeg. And they were in awe hearing themselves as well describe these goals and it kind of reliving all these incredible moments.
Very cool. Very cool. And I think it'll be your call that it will probably live on for 800 because everybody's jumping on Chris Chelios for the television call. If you heard it, Steve Levy was on the play-by-play call on ESPN. Chelios was up in the booth, and as the goal went in, Chelios completely stole the call. So when you sit there and tell me you were looking over at the play-by-play, your partner, and letting him go and knowing what that moment meant, you've been there before. But sometimes the moment just gets away from you, like it maybe did for Chelios. And it's not the worst thing either. I didn't think it was as bad as some of the broadcasters were making it out to be.
Well, I think anything that happens on social media, it's the end of the world, and it's 12 times, 100 times, 1,000 times worse than it really is. The negativity that comes with social media. It's so much harder to be a positive person. But when I was looking at John, the big monitor, there's about an 80-inch screen behind him. And I'm looking, there's Chelly on one side. I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And the other side is blank ice. And I couldn't figure out what was happening. And then I realized, but in all, I'm going to stick up for Chris and Mark in that instance. I don't ever remember them being in game, calling a game as analysts and, getting the reps in. And I know they haven't done it on radio. I did it on radio when I played. When I was injured, I filled in with the radio guy. And it was, hey, he goes, just let top of the circles, just lay out if it looks like anything's dangerous is going to the net. And, so now it's been years and years of reps that even when I'm in the broadcast between the benches, once it gets to an area, you just lay out. And you mid-sentence, you could be 2 words into a sentence, you just lay out. But they didn't have that benefit. So I would say that's on the director, producer, and the executive producer of that game that, they didn't communicate that to the guys. So, you know what? It's still a great night, no matter what happens, no matter what and who got the call or whatever it was that 800 was scored in Chicago, and it was a pretty special night.
Yeah, very cool. Very special night. Look, for the Capitals as a team, I believe I'd have to look 1 point out of a playoff spot as we sit here tonight going in to the game against Detroit with all the attention about Ovechkin and the chase for Gordy and then eventually Wayne. Where's this team at as we head towards Christmas and kind of talking about, Christmas wish for the Capitals? Where's this team at heading in and what do they need to become a playoff team and contend?
Well, I will say I believe they will be a playoff team. And you look about a month ago for about 3 weeks, they were $42 million on the shelf with the salary cap. And then they went down to about 32 million. And then they were at 26 million, where they're at about right now. They've got 33 players on their roster. When you take all the guys on long-term IR, the young extra guys that we can carry at this moment, there's 33 guys. We had 4 goalies yesterday and the day before because we had the backup goalie from Hershey filling in for Darcy Kemper, took a shot off the noggin and morning skate. Next thing you know, I'm in the hallway at 5:30 down by the dressing room, and Zach Vucali, who comes up from Hershey, he races into town, drives his car, gets into town, and the kid's a classic. He's a beauty. He comes down the hallway, he's doing jumping jacks and hip twists and, flapping his arms and kicking his legs. He's hilarious. And he comes by and he's doing all this stuff. The hands are all over the place, and he's trying to, get ready for the game. And it was classic. And that's just kind of par for the course. Peter Laviolette, since December 17th, 2020, before we even got started in that 56-game season, and he was named coach during that fall when we didn't have hockey, he was the new head coach. We lost Henrik Lundqvist on December 17th with that heart ailment. And I was looking so forward to be able to cover Ovechkin, Chara, and Lundqvist. I thought, how incredible is it going to be to have 3 legends, 3 living legends on your team at this moment, and then you lose him. And the Caps, somehow, they go through that season, and there were so many things going on. You have that taxi squad. You guys would be up for warm-up. Next thing you know, they're pulled off halfway through warm-up because a COVID test came back as a positive and, as a rapid test or whatever it was. But it was insane. And he's been dealing with that the entire time. Last season, they had the best road record in the league. And as I said earlier, it was Ovechkin and Kuznetsov that carried the team. Ovi with his 50 goals, 90 points. Kuznetsov, I think he had over a point a game. And it was those 2 guys and all these other guys. We had 12 guys, I believe, get their first point in the National Hockey League. So this team right now, when we look at what's gone on this year, they were in a lot deeper trouble with the amount of injuries that they've had so far. They lost Connor Brown 4 games in. He was here to fill in, and do a great job of filling in for Tom Wilson until you could get him back from his ACL, which is an 8-month injury, which isn't supposed to get him back till January. We didn't know what was going to happen with Nick Backstrom, but he's ready to go. And he's going to be back in the lineup soon. And he had told me the other day on the flight to Winnipeg, it was the first time I'd been able to see him. And he was so happy to be on the plane. He was so happy with the mates. He was so happy to talk to us even. And I've got a really good relationship. And he was just so happy. And he was very talkative. And I asked him, how are you feeling? He goes, best I felt in 8 years. I talked to him exactly about the exact surgery that he had. They don't do that one over here for hockey players when they're still playing. And so he can tie it. He was at the point where teammates were untying his skates after game. And I saw him walk last year, and his left leg looked like it was about 1 inch to 2 inches shorter when he walked. And you could tell he wasn't right. He tried as hard as he could. He still had a decent season number-wise. But I think he's going to be coming back and looking amazing, because we've all said, when we're handicapping how he's skating, like, I haven't seen him skate that well in years. And so that's great news. But you take a look at the game. They went on a long road trip, 6 games, 17 days, something like that. They ended up 3-2-1. The first game of the road trip was on a back-to-back to Jersey, and I think they played them the wrong way. And it was a back-and-forth game. New Jersey's fast, and I thought they should have trapped it up, been a blue line, and they got caught with their pants down. They go into Vancouver. They were way better in Vancouver. They went to Seattle, and they got caught up in trying to play fast in Seattle. Went to Calgary, let the game get away, and then they went into Edmonton and shut them down. They went into Philly, shut them down, played the long game to end the road trip. And after that, they've been really, really good at figuring out they're a 5-man unit on the ice, not 3 forwards and 2D. And, the goaltenders pay the price when you play that way. So you're going to get guys back, and they're high-end guys. And you're getting players that were playing for a while. We had kids that were fourth liners playing on the first line. And now you've got legitimate top line guys playing in their spots. But imagine that. You're going to get Tom Wilson back at number 1 right wing. You're going to start moving guys down. So the third line is going to be formidable, because you're going to get 2 guys out of the top 6 are going to go to the third line. The fourth line is going to get even better. So this team, in my opinion, is now that they're rolling the right way and you get the reinforcements back, they're going to be able to kick some serious ass when they get back on the ice, all these guys.
I can't wait to see it. I hope you have a special night tonight at the rink as Detroit comes to town. And what's up for Alan May over the holidays?
I'm actually going to fly back to Texas tomorrow, do all my Christmas shopping, and fly back here Thursday for the Ottawa game, and then fly back to Texas on the 24th. Come back the night of the 26th, hop on a plane to New York City at 8 a.m., go to the rink. The guys will have morning skate, check in the hotel, play the game, and then fly right back to D.C. So it's going to be a little bit of airline miles the next little while.
That's just another day in the life of Alan May, buddy.
I kind of love it, yeah. Yeah,
Great
Merry
to see
Christmas.
you.
Take care.
You bet. Alan May, Washington Capitals broadcaster, and potentially history being made tonight. We'll all be watching as the Washington Capitals, welcome in the Detroit Red Wings. We've got more to come. Gene Principe as we go to Edmonton next and check in on the Oilers here on the RP Show Monday morning here on Game Plus TV, YouTube Live, listening on the podcast and on the radio, 99.1 WQEE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might fracture your wrist, resulting in a lifetime of painful arthritis. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca. You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might injure your back in a way that causes nerve damage or partial loss of mobility. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
I gotta hit the beat.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital GMC. Reserve your brand new truck or SUV today. Check out our great selection of in-stock GM certified pre-owned trucks and make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital GMC, making back to busy easy.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, welcome back to the program. Darren DuPont with you here in for Rod Pedersen. A lot of NHL hockey this hour on the podcast and on the program as we head towards the Christmas weekend. Final week of live shows here for the RP show. A couple of programming notes. Coming up on Friday, our World Junior Preview Special is coming up. We've got Peter Labardius, Julie Robenheimer, Sam Cosentino, and more coming up on that program to preview the World Juniors. Canada actually gets going tonight with their pre-tournament schedule. They welcome in Switzerland into Moncton for the pre-tournament game. So Canada-Switzerland is coming up tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern in Moncton. Seattle's Thomas Milich will start in goal. And news from Canada's junior team on the weekend, Shane Wright was named team captain on Sunday. And they also named 4 alternate captains. They'll rotate games, 2 each game. Ethan Del Mastro, the defenseman, is there as one of the alternates. Dylan Genther, Nathan Gocher, and Logan Stankoven are the 4. Connor Bedard expected to play alongside Shane Wright on the Canada's top line tonight if you were watching the morning skate and going by their lines here earlier today. So looking forward to that, Canada and Switzerland tonight. Big thanks already this afternoon, this morning, to Mike Richards, Jim Mullin, and Alan May for joining us. If you just missed that, you can check it back out on the podcast. Text line is open at 902-518-3033. And the website, rodpeterson.com, where you can vote on today's poll question. Last we checked, the reverse retro jersey was pretty much dead even across all our platforms. And the jerseys up for the poll today is the Chicago Blackhawks and the San Jose Sharks reverse retro jerseys. But we've got breaking news out of Edmonton this morning, and that's where we go next. Gene Principe from Rogers Sportsnet joins us this morning here on the hotline, and I think we've got Gene in ready to go. There he is. How are you, Gene?
Hey, guys. I'm not bad. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Where are you off to this morning?
Well, I'm just walking back from the rink here in Nashville, and I think I just spoke to the guy that is part of the breaking news, Stuart Skinner, who played in Saskatchewan,
Yes.
Swift Current, Lethbridge, and has really, goalies are a certain breed, because it seemed like not too long ago, unfairly, people were kind of wondering what's going on with Stuart Skinner. They drafted him a few years ago, and now here he is signing a long-term multi-million-dollar deal. And he said it himself. Said he got some advice when he was younger that said, listen, 1 year you can be playing in the ECHL, or the AHL, or the NHL, both ways, right? Either from AHL or ECHL up or down, and the kid's proved himself.
We watched Stuart Skinner out here in Western Canada, you mentioned, with Lethbridge shining, and then was a key piece of Swift Current's run to a Western Hockey League title and into the Memorial Cup. Signing today a 3-year, $2.6 million extension with the Edmonton Oilers. What does it do for the outlook of that team in goal? Jack Campbell, we know, has struggled a little bit this season. Skinner's played well and seems to be peaking. What does it do for the outlook moving forward?
I took mine home. 1 second, I'm just going to put an order in. Can I get a coffee and a double chocolate?
Gene's got to get his coffee. If anybody understands, Gene, getting the coffee order in, it's me. I get it. You got to get the fuel. I'm curious because we've been down there. Rod and I have been down there. Are you on Broadway? Is that where we are?
I'm just a couple blocks off. Sorry, I'm kind of multitasking because I'm a little bit behind today, and it's the dad's trip. So there's lots of stuff going on. It's neat to see these young players have their fathers. Some of them, it's brothers, mentors that are here with them. So I did hear your question, and I agree. I do agree. Stuart wasn't clear in stating whether the Oilers came to him or whether it was sort of a mutual conversation, or whether his agent JP Barry went to the Oilers. But I think the length of the deal, the amount of the deal, has people thinking about the goalie situation in Edmonton. I'm not sure what they're thinking. I don't know what they should be thinking, but it just has people wondering what the conversation should be like after they signed Jack Campbell to a 5-year, $25 million contract this summer.
One thing I think it does, and you look at this team right now in a wild card spot, they're just 1 point up on Calgary going into tonight's game in Nashville. I think it opens up a lot of flexibility for that spot. If Stuart Skinner continues to play well and finds himself in a conversation to be the starter come playoff time at a $2.6 million hit, this opens up some opportunities and flexibility for Ken Holland, doesn't it? Because this team's nowhere near their ceiling.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. What I'm curious about now is if you've got a goalie, I think Stuart was making, I want to say around 750, let's say, right?
Yeah.
So this is not for this year, but as he moves forward. So if a goalie's making $750,000, it's a very lopsided scale for money. Now he's making, or will be making, half as much as Jack, and that puts him into a kind of the starter's realm, especially a young starter's realm, salary-wise. So, I think this is the deal. Now you've got two goalies in play starting next year for $7.5 million for a guy who's a number one and a guy who's becoming a number one. So it's a great setup for the keepers. It's a great setup for the Oilers and for their fans and the team. I just think that to be able to get Stuart at that price point, which is really good for Edmonton and really good for him, and know that Jack is here. But of course, it lends people to start wondering, well, what's the deal? What's the deal is that they got the money. They've spent just over $7.5 million starting next year for 3 more years on their goaltending. It solidifies not only the position, but the amount of money you're paying for the position. So I like it for Edmonton, and it does say something about Stuart's growth to the point where they are really comfortable thinking that he is a multi-million-dollar player for them.
So let's look at the Oilers now before we let you go as a whole. At Nashville tonight, they'll visit Dallas Wednesday before coming home to take on Vancouver Friday, leading into the break. And then right out of the break, it's the Battle of Alberta on the 27th. We'll talk this time of year a lot about Christmas wish lists and play that game. What's on the wish list for the Oilers, going into Christmas to not only just make sure they get into the playoffs, but get them back up towards the top of the division?
Yeah, I think the wish list would be just kind of going into I don't know if consistency is the right word, but they were 7-3 their first 10, then 3-7 their next 10, then 7-3 their next 10. So that takes us to 30 games. And now they're 0-1-1 the first 2 of these next set of 10 games. And as you guys, once you were through the next set of 10 games, then basically you're halfway through the season. You're a game off being at halfway point. So consistency, I'm not saying they want to go 5-5 every 10 game segment, but just a little more roller coaster is a bit strong, but just to kind of find a game that will allow them to be, I would think, a top 2 team in their division, a top 8 team in the league, top 4 in the conference. I mean, this is, listen, you got Connor and Leon on your team. You can't be sort of middling around, scratching and clawing, or shall I say you shouldn't be, or we wouldn't think you would be in that state. So they're not, but that's the thing. You mentioned the schedule going into the break. You lose a couple here in a row, and now it's winless in 4, and you're starting to go, where did everything sort of go the wrong way? So I think they're in good shape. I think they're a playoff team. I think a lot of great things about Edmonton, but you just don't want little blips to become big ones and find yourself kind of feeling uncomfortable about what's going on the ice.
Good. Before we let you go, I know you mentioned Dad's Weekend or Dad's Trip, and this is always one of the funnest when the dads are there.
Oh, yeah.
So who's been the most fun dad, or who's the guy that's the most animated that we're going to see on TV? Because you guys always cut to them, right? Who are we going to see jumping out of the chair?
Well, a guy who I think will live on in infamy is Richard Nurse, Darnell's dad. When Darnell had, can't remember if it was his first NHL fight he fought.
Oh, we might have lost Gene. Let me know if we get him back. Okay, you let me know if we get him back. We'll only hang on here for about 60 more seconds. If not, we're going to let Gene go. But let me know if he reconnects, because I want to hear about Darnell Nurse's dad. And if he does, Clark, just throw him on here. Otherwise, we'll refresh the comments and check into the text line as well and get you set for the overtime segment. I'll just pull up the YouTube comments here while we wait and see if Gene is going to reconnect. If not, we might have lost him. And that's Jeff wants to know if he just stepped on a cat. You're referring to Gene, Jeff, the Stamps fan. So interesting about that. But I love, actually, maybe the most unique interview that we have is Gene, especially when you get him walking and talking down the strip in Nashville, going and picking up his morning coffee. Clark, I don't think we're going to get him back, okay? All right, we're going to call it. If he comes back, you tell him thank you so much for joining us, and it means we got to watch tonight as the Oilers get set to take on the Nashville Predators. One more segment left here on a Monday morning, Monday afternoon. I guess it's afternoon almost everywhere now except maybe the West Coast. And I guess Alberta, it's still just before noon. So we'll count down to the top of the hour on the other side of this break. It's the RP Show. Rod, on his final day of the day weekend, Darren DuPont in with you here, back with one final segment on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, listening on the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and we're on the radio on 99.1 WQEE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might injure your back in a way that causes nerve damage or partial loss of mobility. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
You might not be injured if you slip and fall, or you might injure your knee, leading to joint damage or even a permanent disability. Take safer steps with WorksafeSask.ca.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
And that's a wrap on summer, everyone. Things are about to get back to busy. Work, school, errands, they're all coming back. That's why we make buying easy at Capital Ford Lincoln. We have a great selection of brand new F-150s in stock. Drive it off the lot today. Reserve an incoming unit or pre-order the perfect vehicle for you. And make some cold hard cash by selling us your used vehicle. We pay big and you can skip the hassle of selling privately. Plus, our service department is always here to help with any make or model. Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, we got a lot to take care of, not a lot of time to get there. And so we're going to bang out some sponsors as well, Clark. I want you to get Bet Regal ready. But first, we'll get into a sports update for Ito Japan. And to give you this before we go, Ito Japan, from hand-rolled sushi to bento box meals made with their famous teriyaki sauce, Ito Japan's menu has something for everyone. 8 games in the National Hockey League tonight. We'll start from top to bottom. The Dallas Stars are in Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. It's OV Watch in Washington as the Capitals welcome in the Detroit Red Wings. And we heard about Mark and the Hows that are going to be in attendance there. So that's going to be pretty special in Washington. We'll be watching that. Boston is home to Florida. The Panthers at 15-13-4, not the heavyweight we thought, but Boston is 24-4-2. Just outstanding what they've accomplished heading into Christmas. Edmonton is in Nashville. Colorado's home to the Islanders. The Golden Knights welcome in the Buffalo Sabres. Montreal is in Arizona at Mullin Arena against the Coyotes. And the Vancouver Canucks in the late one tonight, 10:30 Eastern. They welcome the St. Louis Blues. To the World Juniors, that tune-up game happening tonight. That's happening 6 o'clock Eastern time. Canada home to Switzerland. TSN, I'm sure, will have it. and it's coming to you from Moncton. Monday Night Football happening as well, NFL. It's in Green Bay, and our odds for Bet Regal, you can go on and play for free tonight, betregal.net. Green Bay Packers, 7.5-point favorites over the LA Rams tonight. Green Bay earlier today releasing Sammy Watkins. So Watkins is going to go through the waiver wire, and it's interesting to see if he gets picked up, released by Green Bay. So over at betregal.net, Green Bay favored by 7.5 over LA. The over-under is 39.5. I took the Rams on Friday when we played Deal or No Deal. To cover, I'll take the Rams plus 7.5 points again tonight. So again, you can play along for free at betregal.net. Text line 902-518-3033. You can get your texts in there. John Kirby letting us know that Norway has defeated Kazakhstan and been promoted to the 2024 World Junior Championships, and Japan defeating Ukraine and been promoted to Division I Group A, so into the secondary tournament of the World Junior Hockey Championship. So thank you, John, for the breaking news here today. The other news of the morning, Stuart Skinner signing a 3-year, $2.6 million extension with the Edmonton Oilers, and the Toronto Maple Leafs acquiring Dryden Hunt from Colorado for Dennis Malgin. That's the breaking news here this morning as we move through. One final update of our poll question today for Capital Auto Mall, Universal Collision Center. You'll have 23 hours or 22 hours, I guess now, to vote over at rodpeterson.com. It's been flipped. San Jose now leading Chicago. 56% of the vote for San Jose. Again, vote now at rodpeterson.com. Rod will be back in tomorrow from the Boca Raton Bowl. That's going to be a lot of fun. You're not going to want to miss it. And we'll be back same time tomorrow here on Game Plus. Thanks for watching Game Plus on the podcast, YouTube, or on WQEE. Happy holidays. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the show.
Who has more fun than us?
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.